let's talk about something interesting. I made a video a couple days ago called Black Lives Matter. Will you please teach me what else I should be doing that I'm not already? So if you haven't checked out that video, please do, because I think a lot of us, we want to help, we just don't know what else to do in addition to what we already doing. For example, Beetlejuice left this comment, quote, "Start shopping at more local black owned businesses is the best thing you can do." So I appreciated that. You know, that's part of why I appreciate it too, is it goes into the whole theme of this video. So we'll get to that here in this next comment. So I had Chief Keef leave this very relevant comment that I can appreciate, and this received 4 thumbs up, so there's more people who agree with it. One of the major things you can do is not support the major political parties. They are largely responsible for the institutionalized and systematic racism African Americans face. 4 thumbs up on that. And I responded, I'm a libertarian, and that is how I vote. 4 thumbs up for that. And then Dr. Dre said, that's his name, Dr. Dre said, I thought you were more in the conservative wing. To which I responded, and this got 5 thumbs up. I am a libertarian. Specifically, I am financially conservative, socially liberal, and constantly questioning our military's involvement in policing the world. I am conservative, liberal, and independent, all 3 equally. And I happen to, of course, I had to put this t-shirt on for this video. Now, this is the Libertarian porcupine. This is the mascot for libertarians. Forget donkeys and elephants. We got an animal that really stands out. So that's the shirt I'm wearing. So, I mean, obviously I'm enough of a libertarian to own the t-shirt and to vote that way. For example, in the last election, I did not vote for Donald Trump. I voted for Gary Johnson, who was the libertarian candidate that was running 4 years ago. So I am truly a libertarian. What I'm not is a Republican, and what I'm not is a Democrat. What I am is conservative, and what I am is liberal, and what I am is independent. So for example, in voting, if there's a libertarian candidate, I'm quite likely to vote for them. But I can also vote for a candidate who is Republican or Democrat if they tend to possess qualities that seem to be more libertarian. So by now you're like, okay, but explain a little bit more what libertarian means. So ultimately, it's a matter of, we recognize giving power to the state to decide things. So almost like we're a nation of 50 little countries that get to determine that. Let the state decide on a lot of these issues instead of giving all the power to the US government. I mentioned being financially conservative. Now, I've mentioned this many times before on this channel. Dave Ramsey, my wife and I faithfully follow Dave Ramsey as far as we understand that the norm in the United States is to be in debt. And we were, I think at one point, not that long ago, well, maybe like 7 years ago, we were like $60,000 in debt between pre-existing debts before we got married, our wedding, paying off college. I mean, it was $60,000 if I'm not mistaken. And then about 5.5 years ago, we became debt free. You know, because we follow what Dave Ramsey said, which is based on what the Bible teaches. Basically, how to get out of debt. First of all, don't get into debt, but if you ought to get out of debt, and then start saving, and then start investing, and then start doing side hustles like this channel. And this channel last month earned me $540. And this is only one side hustle. I have a website I do. I have a few other things online that bring in money in addition to my job that I already do, which is why I like that answer about supporting local businesses, because we're supporting the free market. We're not just simply giving money to people. Here's people who are doing something right, a black business owner. Man, that's quite a challenge they've taken on to start a business. So if we support that business, we're supporting what they're doing specifically. So I love that answer as a libertarian. And maybe if I were a Democrat, I would say just give people money. As a libertarian, I say, yeah, let's give people money, but in ways that's going to help build our economy and support the free market so that naturally and organically, Black Americans can be more successful. So that's the way, as a libertarian, I look at that. But I am very focused on managing money because we have a lot of control over money. And as Dave Ramsey says, if we do not control our money controls us. So it's a matter of controlling that. And so when it comes to our government and spending money, there's a lot of ways that they're wasting money. And we should be asking more questions about our military involvement, as I had mentioned in that comment too. I mentioned socially conservative, and I'll get to that in a minute. But let's jump ahead to the part about military spending. So just do a little bit of research on this. We all know about the September 11th attacks. We know about all those people that hijacked the planes. But what's interesting, look to see where they're from, what countries they were actually from. Now look at the countries that we in the United States have been attacking in the Middle East. They're not the same countries. And this has been going on for nearly 2 decades. It's not just this war. It's a lot of wars. I know the obvious one is Vietnam. I mean, I guess in theory we were fighting communism, but ultimately what was going on, speaking of racism, it was men who were not educated and low income that were much more likely to be drafted into Vietnam and ultimately killed off for the sake of what again? Well, turns out a lot of those men who were drafted were black. That's pretty racist to me. It's the same concept of our prison systems. I mean, I feel this is a libertarian thing too, to recognize that we've got a lot of men in prison, specifically that are black or Latino. You're more likely to end up getting arrested. You're more likely to end up in prison or jail for the same offense a white man would do. But ultimately, the prisons make money in the same way the military spending, keep staying at war basically makes certain people high up in the food chain more money. So we're very involved in policing the world because that's a business to us. And we're using soldiers as pawns, and they're coming back traumatized by this and maybe lose an arm or whatever it is. For the sake of what? Are we really fighting terrorism? Because again, look at where those people on the plane that they hijacked, look at who we're attacking versus where they were from. It's interesting to see how they're business partners with oil, the people who were on the plane, but we're not attacking those countries because they're our business allies. So there's, oh, that's just a conspiracy. And you get to decide that. But see, libertarians, we know that most people will not agree with us. We know that. But that's how we're looking at it. I want to talk to you now about the part about socially liberal. So for example, how do I personally feel, and it's not a thing anymore because it's legal now, but for example, gay marriage. Why did I not carry the way? I'll tell you why I didn't carry the way. See, wait, but you're supposed to choose a side. You're supposed to be either for or against something. See, libertarians, we have more freedom, we have more freedom to realize that a lot of times we don't have a dog in the fight. So for example, gay marriage, what did that mean to me back when that was becoming legalized or not during Obama's second term, which by the way, first term as a Democrat, Obama was against gay marriage. He changed his mind in the second term because he had to, because more people started changing their mind about it. So gay marriage. Do I morally approve of homosexuality personally? I do not. Do I have a problem with a gay person getting married or having any kind of rights that anybody else would have? Absolutely not. Gay people should not be discriminated against at all. Because why are we going to take a private union between two people and let our government approve it, and then what does that have to do with me? What did two people and the government approving that union have to do with me? It's not like we can take a specific Christian concept and say that it's not. Marriage is not an explicitly religious thing. It's totally not. So why do I care about that? There are all kinds of things that I morally disagree with. Why discriminate against a person for that? Why not just let them do their thing as long as it's not hurting somebody else? And I began questioning about a decade or so ago about drugs too. That's another big thing about libertarian is we like marijuana. That's just a joke. Now I've never used marijuana, but I know it's a complete joke that it's illegal, and it's been illegal since 1937. It's finally starting to change, but it's very obvious. We're talking about a plant that's never specifically killed anybody. People have died from other things along with it, but specifically that, they haven't. Now, again, I've never used it, but I recognize that it's very silly and arbitrary that it's illegal, and that we're doing more damage by keeping people in jail, specifically, often of minorities, Black and Hispanic men, specifically, they're in jail because they sold a plant. So that's the mindset of a libertarian. So now you know, those are my political views. I am not a Republican, I am not a Democrat, but I am conservative, and I am liberal, and I am independent. I'm able to make up my mind, not based on one side or the other. Your comments belong right here.